Wow, this one line, it just says so much, doesn't it? Difference causes discomfort. Discomfort, I was not free. It absolutely nails that core feeling of not fitting in and the real world cost of that feeling. This is exactly where our journey is going to begin. So, welcome. In this explainer, we're going to do something pretty special. We're stepping into a deeply personal inner world, and we're using the poetry of Wen B. Lawson as our guide. This isn't just about reading poems, It's about getting a direct line into an experience of identity, of neurodivergence, and what it truly, truly means to just be. I mean, can you just imagine that feeling for a second? Arriving in the world only to find that the very person you are could not be. This really sets the stage, doesn't it? It's a journey about discovering yourself when the world seems to be telling you to be someone else entirely. So, let's dive in. What is that experience actually like? We'll start by exploring this very idea of a different kind of world, seeing things from a neurodivergent point of view, in a society that, let's face it, often demands we all act the same. I love how this is phrased. It's so clear. Neurodivergence isn't presented as something wrong or broken, but simply as something that diverges from the majority. These poems really give us a lens into that feeling of what it's like when your fundamental neurotype is just different. And there's this really interesting tension here, right? This need for sameness isn't framed as a flaw, but as a pathway to doing better. The point seems to be that with a little time, with a chance to adapt, all this potential gets unlocked. It really feels like a call for accommodation, not for forced change. Okay, so we've got the concept. But what does this neurodivergence actually feel like? I mean, on a gut level. Our next section goes beyond the idea and dives right into the specific, visceral reality of that sensory and cognitive experience. Get this. Just think about what this means for a second. You know something is about to happen, but the sensory input is still so intense that it feels like a physical shock. It paints a picture of this hyper-focused state where knowing what's next doesn't really dull the impact at all. It might even make it sharper. And this is such a brilliant way to illustrate that gap between knowing something in your head and feeling it in your body. Sure, you can understand the concept of crunchy, but the actual physical experience can still be totally overwhelming, completely unexpected, and a whole different world from the idea itself. And then there's this last piece of the sensory puzzle, and wow, it's fascinating. It's the idea that your own internal thoughts can be so loud and so clear that they feel like they're coming from the outside, kind of blurring that line between your own mind and the world around you. So, you might be wondering, what's the thread that connects all these super intense experiences? Well, the source material gives it a name: monotropism. It's described as a cognitive style of being single-focused. This suggests it's not just a preference, but the main way of processing the world, which would totally explain why shifting focus can be so tough and why certain sensory details can be so completely absorbing. When the world can be that overwhelming, it just makes total sense that the next step, the next human need, is the search for a safe place, a place for acceptance and real security. And in one of the poems, A Glimmer, that safe space is actually embodied by a cat named Sandy. And this image, it just captures that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? It's this quiet, non-judgmental connection that doesn't need any words or complicated explanations. I mean, the language here is just incredible. A fortress of softness against a hostile world. This isn't just about being comfortable. It's about survival. It's that feeling of absolute security that finally lets you lower your defenses. And this feels like such a huge aha moment, right? A fortress is great for protection, but you can't just live there forever. The whole point of that safety isn't just to hide, it's to build the foundation you need to finally start to grow. So, okay, you've built that foundation of safety. What's next? Well, this next section explores that very question. What is the nature of joy, of growth, of really, truly flourishing? Oh, this seed metaphor is just perfect. It tells us that, everyone has this potential inside them, just like a seed. But whether or not that seed really flourishes into its very best self, that depends entirely on the environment, on whether it's planted in rich soil or poor. And what's so powerful is that this joy isn't some generic abstract thing. No, it's deeply, deeply specific. It's found in the flight of a certain bird, the sight of a wallaby, the quiet of being alone in nature, and, maybe most importantly of all, seeing that light of understanding finally spread to others. But it's not just about personal joy, right? That feeling can absolutely be a shared one. And the poems also explore that deep connection of love, like in this piece that was written for a wedding. So the way love is talked about here, it's not just some passive feeling that happens to you. No, it's an active choice. It's something you cultivate and you prove. It's a daily commitment to kindness and to understanding, a foundation you choose to build together. All right, so where has this whole journey been leading? Well, in this final section, we're going to see how all these really deep internal explorations build up to challenge something huge, one of society's most rigid external structures, the gender binary. And the poems start asking these really powerful questions. I mean, think about this one. But what if she is not I am? It's asking us to really stop and consider that mismatch between an external label like she and the internal personal truth of I am. And it doesn't stop there. It keeps pushing us, keeps challenging us. What if he is not a man? The poem is forcing us to pull apart what someone looks like on the outside from who they truly are on the inside. And here it is. This is where the poem lands. The binary isn't some law of nature. It's an imposed structure. It's a rigid idea from the outside that just doesn't capture the fluid, complex, beautiful reality of human identity. So after everything we've seen, after walking through this incredibly rich inner world, the final question is really for you. It's for us. When you look at another person, whose world are you really seeing? Are you seeing them, or are you just seeing the world you expect to find? Whose reality are you truly acknowledging?